Well, to say the world is in a precarious position would be an understatement. But are we on the brink of World War III? American General and former head of the CIA, David Petraeus, joins me now. General, thank you so much for joining me, particularly on my first show of the year. Before we get stuck into the detail, I'd love your general overall take on the world as you see it right now.
Well, first of all, great to be back with you, Erin. If you think of the U.S., and again, together with our allies and partners, as the guy in the circus who has to keep a lot of different plates spinning, there are more plates in that tent that we have to keep spinning. So there's a greater number of them. There's obviously the most important relationship in the world, which is that between, again, the U.S. and the Western countries and China. That plate is bigger than all the others put together. The Russia plate is more menacing. There is still a North Korea plate. There are still plates that represent various Islamist extremist groups that we have to keep an eye and pressure on, or they will reconstitute. We generally do that by helping others do that. There are obviously all the challenges that we see now in the greater Middle East. Israel, of course, attempting to destroy Hamas, something I believe does need to be done, by the way. The Houthis, the Iranian-supported Shia element in Yemen that is disrupting maritime traffic. 15% of the world's maritime trade goes through the Red Sea. You see problems with Iranian-supported Shia militias in Iraq and northeastern Syria launching rockets and drones and so forth at U.S. bases in those countries. You now even see Pakistan and Iran trading missiles and strikes back and forth. There are various cyber threats, state, non-state, extremist, criminals, you name it. And of course, there are challenges arising from global warming. The wildfire threat that Australia experienced, that Maui experienced, California experiences, and so forth, more severe weather issues and so on. You put all that together and then probably should add in domestic populism in some of our democracies around the world, including the one here in the United States. And what you have is, again, a greater number of challenges and a more complex array of challenges.
Okay, so how much capacity does America have to continue, as you put it, balancing all these plates up in the air? If the world just continues as it is, which is fairly arduous, hard work at the moment, what if it gets worse and escalates? Can America cope?
I think we can. Let's keep in mind, people talk about it. Well, the U.S. we're engaged in two wars. We're actually not engaged in two wars. We're engaged in helping two other countries fight against, in the case of Ukraine, against a brutal, unprovoked invasion by a country led by a leader who is fed by a grievance-filled, revanchist, revisionist view of history, and then helping our partner in the Middle East, Israel, as it seeks to destroy an extremist army, which is the accurate description of Hamas. I don't think you can reconcile with an organization that is as barbaric and carried out such horrific, unspeakable actions on 10/7. Dismantling the political wing, another objective I think is also necessary. Obviously, they want to get back their hostages. As you may recall, I just did a book with Andrew Roberts, a great British historian, Conflict, the Evolution of Warfare from 1945 to Ukraine. Andrew and I don't think there's any case since 1945 that is as fiendishly difficult for an operation as what Israel faces in Gaza.
I have no doubt at all, and I would encourage my viewers to get your book. You can get that from Amazon and other online spaces. I want to ask you, General, now about the situation with the Houthi rebels and what the US and the UK is doing in that space. There was a request for Australia to send a warship. That was a request that the Australian government refused. I don't know if that was the right decision. The US is obviously the heavy lifter in our relationship, in our alliance. Is Australia doing enough, and should we be doing more in the Red Sea, given the impact it has on our country and the rest of the world?
Look, I think there's opportunity for many countries to be doing more. The truth is that it's only the US and UK that have carried out the kinetic activities here. There are others, I believe Australia among them, who are providing various other forms of assistance, staff members, intelligence, surveillance, and so on. Now, this is a more difficult problem. It's spread over a greater area. It is not just in the Red Sea. Of course, it's around the corner through the Bab el-Mandeb, south of Yemen as well. And so this is a considerable area. We have a lot of experience there from anti-piracy operations, but this is a very different mission from that. Other than that, it's a similar maritime task force and overseen by the same headquarters that oversaw that mission as well. In fact, when I was the commander of the area of responsibility, Greater Middle East, U.S. Central Command.
I think you're absolutely right. Before I let you go, I wanted to get your thoughts on the election in Taiwan last weekend and the ramifications of that. I wrote a piece in the Daily Telegraph this morning about what I consider to be an incredibly brave move by a nation to collectively determine that their sovereignty is more important than their safety. In other words, to stick with the incumbent, obviously having lost a fair bit of power, but still in power, and a president who has said, we will absolutely not negotiate with China in any way, shape or form. How do you think this result will impact, first of all, their sovereignty, second of all, China's attitude, and third of all, the impact all of that has on us and the rest of the world?
The outcome of the election, which, as you know, the ruling party retained the presidency but lost control of the parliament. I think that result, so you don't have the ruling party controlling the legislature. I think that is actually going to turn out to be reasonably good for Taiwan, because what we want to do is just to continue the status quo, of course. And even though President Biden has on 4 occasions, I think not slips of the tongue, but gone out and said, yes, we would come to the rescue of Taiwan, then our national security advisor goes out and reminds the audience that, again, there's no change for our policy. It's strategic ambiguity, right? Yeah. We repeat, the different documents that we all hold dear. So I think, again, just continuing what we have is crucially important. So again, I touch wood. I think this is a mission that is attainable, it is achievable, but the U.S. and others, we do need, I think, to accelerate the transformation of our forces and capabilities and bases and defenses and the rest of this, because we need to ensure that those capabilities are never seen as lacking.
Brilliantly put, General. As always, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Good to be with you again. Thanks.